Hello, all. How are you doing today? So super excited to be here with you on this awesome Saturday. So excited to be just having fun this weekend and enjoying myself. How are you guys doing? Today I want to talk to you guys about creating your reality. Hello, how are you? Good to have you. Hi, Carolyn. How are you? Thanks so much for joining. So excited to be here. So I have a super fun thing that I want to share with you. Want to play with. Hi, Jay. How are you doing? Good to be here. Good to have you here. Thanks so much. For those of you guys who don't know me, I am DeborahAcker, and I work mainly with women who are putting their partner's needs, their careers, what their career, their jobs, wants and desires are ahead of their own. And so today I want to talk to you about creating your reality and something super fun that happened to me when I was traveling last weekend. So I spent the last couple of weeks traveling and just really having fun and owning it. Hi, DNA for Life. Thanks so much for joining. I spent the last couple of weeks just traveling, right? And as I was getting off the airplane, I know a lot of times, especially over the holidays, we have a hello, Curtis. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you for being here. Hi, Gray Finder. I don't know what your name is, but thank you so much for joining. So excited to have you here. So, I know a lot of times when we were going back to work last week, right? We sort of have this tendency to kind of put this separation between, yes, please follow and share. So we have this tendency to put the separation between, our work reality and our vacation reality, right? So many times, we're on vacation and then we're like, we have the tendency to say like, I'm going back to reality. And the biggest thing that I found, hi, April Marie, thanks so much for joining. So excited to have you here. So the biggest thing that I found that is so super awesome is, what if there was no separation between your vacation reality and the reality of the world that you were going back to, right? So what if this idea of just literally your whole life, you created your whole life from this idea of just being on vacation, like literally taking all these steps forth. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it's like just literally every day taking steps forward to create this reality that you don't want to ever exit, right? So how awesome would it be if you could just actually start to choose and move towards a reality that didn't feel like reality, that always felt that you were having fun, that always felt that you were enjoying yourself, that always felt like so like just a good time all the way around, right? Because we get conditioned to kind of think like, oh, I only get 2 weeks a year to have fun, or I only get, even if you're lucky, you only get like a month to have fun out of the year, and then the rest of the year's got to be all serious and not having fun. And so just really starting to shift that idea that yes, life should be fun, absolutely. So really starting to shift that idea of, okay, I don't have to just have this like reality that I kind of dread going to, that I'm not excited about. I don't have to feel like that. I can actually always create this vacation reality that's always fun, that I'm always enjoying. And so one of the biggest things to starting to create this reality is beginning to choose it, right? And so we can get kind of caught up in this idea around like, okay, I get caught up in this idea of like, okay, well, I want to be there, but I'm here, and that over there feels so overwhelming, right? Over there can feel so, can just feel really overwhelming, right? And so it's, the way that I've broken this down for myself is to really start to recognize that it's just a daily choice, right? I don't instead of focusing on like, this is where I want to be in my career, this is where I want to be in my life, instead of doing that, really recognizing like this is a daily choice. So I'm just gonna like today, what am I gonna choose to move towards? If it's oriented around your career, it's like, what am I gonna choose to move towards that career, right? What am I going to choose to actually move towards that? And thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thanks for inviting followers. I so appreciate it. But just really recognizing it's like, okay, today, what am I going to do to choose to move towards that end goal? And then just moving towards it every single day, right? And I say this a lot, but it's just really recognizing that even if something quote unquote doesn't go well, because for whatever reason, your definition of it is it doesn't go well, really recognizing that it's all going well if you are choosing it, right? Like it's all going well as long as you keep choosing it, as long as you keep like going for it, even if the universe is like, well, you know, that direction you went in, we don't really like that for you. Just to keep putting different ideas out there is awesome. I guess we need to let go of things we can't change. Right. So, you know, with this idea of letting go of things that we can't change, it's like, if those things that you can't change don't feel good to you, or you're not in that sense of joy, you're not in that sense of happiness, yeah, let go of it. I mean, if it's like something that you're enjoying, then obviously stay with it. Do you have an example of what you're talking about when you say let go of things that you can't change? Yeah, so just really recognizing like this idea that we can really enjoy all aspects of our life, and we don't have to be miserable at all, right? You know, it's like when we were growing up, there was a lot of orientation, a lot of stuff around struggle, right? Our parents, our grandparents, I will address that. So to people who say I don't have the money, yep, awesome. So, you know, like when we were growing up, it's like our parents, our grandparents, you know, they kind of grew up with this idea that this is struggle, right? That this is what struggle is. This is what struggle looks like. And so, you know, we kind of took on this idea that life was going to have to be hard, right? That life was going to have to be challenging. And, you know, so you're in this environment of, you know, life is hard. And then, you know, you take that idea, that energy, that emotion into your everyday. You take that into your world, and then you're, you know, you end up like creating this world of struggle because it's kind of like the only thing that you know, right? It's kind of the only thing you know. And so Jay asked about, you know, what to say, like when people say, I don't have time, I don't have money, you know, the question that comes up for me around that is, are you worth it, right? Are your dreams, are you worth it enough to really, to make the time or to make, to create the money that you need to move towards your desires? And, you know, I hope that answer is yes. The answer for me has been yes, but it's like, if you're feeling, cause the thing is like, you know, when yes, exactly. So when you're thinking about like signing up for a program and you're like, I don't have time or I don't have the money for this, you know, a lot of times that can be like saying, it's saying relevant to that program, but really what you're saying is, you know, like little girl, little boy, like your desires, your wants, your dreams don't matter to me, right? Or that I'm not wanting to, you know, like to honor that. And instead, it's like, as you start to choose your dreams, your desires, your wants, your needs, whatever those are, as you start to choose those, then others will choose it too, right? So it's really all about making the time. If it's something that's important to you, really making the time and making the effort to really to create that in your world. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. So just really recognizing that and honoring that and noticing that, and just noticing like you are always worth it, right? And you know, the way you can start to shift if you're not, you know, if you feel like you're not worth it, if there's sort of that deep-seated like I don't want to, like there's some fear around not making time, not making, you know, making the time for it or not having the money for it, is, I mean, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is mirror affirmations, right? So you can definitely always be, start to talk to yourself in that mirror and say, I am worth it, right? And initially, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to, most people won't believe it. So if you're not believing it, just you keep doing it and you let whatever emotions, whatever feelings come up around not being worth it, you let those come up. I want to hear how that was for you. Just tell me, write in the comments how that was for you. But, so initially it kind of feels awkward. I know, I've done these a gazillion times. Yeah, it feels, it feels strange. So, it can kind of feel awkward, but then what ends up happening is things start to shift, right? So things start to shift, things start to change, and then all of a sudden you start to believe it, right? And like I said, anytime those emotions are coming up around it, anytime those emotions start coming up, yeah, you see yourself as a different person, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, anytime those emotions are coming up, anytime those feelings are coming up, allow them to come up, right? Because again, one of the things that's really common when we're growing up is we get conditioned to push down our feelings. We get conditioned to it's like, crying is for babies. I mean, there's so many different messages around not releasing our feelings, not, owning our feelings. And instead of not owning these, as you start to own them, it's the work that I do, right? As you start to own them, you clear the energy, and then all of a sudden you start to internalize that, and the internalization of it creates a different, but boys don't cry, exactly. And the internalization of it creates a different outer experience all of a sudden, because I believe the thing that's really keeps you from attracting what you want is it's your internal experience, right? Because your internal experience is always creating your outer experience. And so once you change that internal experience, so most of us go through life wanting to shift and change the outer experience, but it's once you change that internal experience, that's how you shift the outer experience, right? So just really, really recognizing that and really, really paying attention to that. Yes. And people, because the thing is whether, I know energy tends to be kind of a spatial thing, right? But no matter what, we could talk about energy or whatever, but it's like people, when you're around someone and they don't they don't feel good or whatever, thanks so much for inviting followers. Thank you. But when you're around someone and they're something doesn't feel good, you can feel that, right? Whether you define it as energy, whether you define it as emotion, whether you define it as just this person, something doesn't feel right about this, we notice that, right? And so just as you start to shift that inner perspective, people notice it, right? People start to tune in, people start to see that you're changing, and they want to be around you more, because that density, that heaviness that we tend to carry a lot in our bodies, that density starts to shift, starts to change, and everything starts to change. And then you start to attract more people to you, start to attract different kinds of people to you, and it's awesome. So yeah, so really just creating your reality, set the end goal to have a reality you don't want to ever leave, right? To have a reality that you never want to exit from, that you never want to run away from, that you always want to be in, to be part of, and just really, really set that as your intention. And then every single day, start to move towards it, right? Every single day, start to move towards it, start to work towards it, start to own it. And then all of a sudden, things start to change. Well, and the thing is it takes, it's could you move from this idea of it taking effort, just being in that allowance, right? So you have to take massive action in some way. And so, you definitely have to take some sort of massive action, but does the massive action have to be hard? That's kind of the question, right? Because we kind of can put these boxes around, this is going to be easy and this is going to be hard. And instead of putting these boxes around, instead of putting the boxes around, we, let go of those boxes and just literally take the action, right? And don't try not to need to define it in any way this is going to be a hard one or it's going to be easy, and just allow it to just be. And one of the things that I've done to really shift that for myself is to recognize when I would procrastinate, right? So I would be procrastinating, and I would notice this, like, I was sitting in this energy of dread, right? I was sitting in this idea of like, oh my gosh, like, this is like, I want to do this, but like, or I don't want to do this. And I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting in that energy and I'd be thinking about it, but I wouldn't be doing it, right? And so the shift for me came when I started to just do it. And then I would realize I'd have all these hours of fun free time, right? So I'd have all these hours to do things I wanted, and I wasn't thinking about that one task, that one thing that I didn't want to do. And that for me made a huge, huge shift because, you know, then I wasn't sitting in, for me, it was like the heavy energy of like, oh, I have to do this thing I don't want to do. And instead I just got it out of the way. And then all of a sudden it cleared up my day to have more fun, to enjoy myself more, to just really, really, enjoy it. So for those of you, please share this replay. I really, really appreciate everyone being here. For those of you that tuned in after I introduced myself, I'm DeborahAcker. I work with women who are putting their careers, their partners ahead of themselves. And really, you know, if there's something in your, thank you so much. Thanks so much for being here. If there's something in your life that you want, like we all have like that, you know, one category or multiple categories in our life, whether it's career, it's abundance, it's relationship, it's health. We all have those things that we want in our life that we want to move towards, and we have some sort of block around that. And what I do is I work with people around those blocks because it's those inside, the internal blocks that are stopping us from having our outer world. So I work with people to shift those blocks so you can create a change in your outer world. Thanks so much for joining today. I hope you have an awesome, awesome Saturday.